Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got a great rack, I've got phrases, so hopefully that will be playable. And there could well be some 8s through the right floater. And our takes an S, so I do have phrases. Does phrases have an anagram? If it does, I may have a double-double in row K. Well, I'm not seeing the anagram. So do I have a bingo beginning or ending in A? I don't think so. So phrases 474. I think this does have an anagram, but I'm not seeing it. Pretty grim. U double V. Quite a deadly trio. The rest of the rack is okay, so I may end up changing. Through an L, I would have vulva, which would get rid of all of my problem tiles. But no L's currently available. Curvate may be good as well, onto an E. That would leave just a V, so that's another play which could be better than changing. And also vacatur is good, and that would leave just a V. And I could play that in column 2. Although I'm taking out the danger of the C in column 1, I'm creating probably a greater danger in row O, but 28 points and a rack lever V is certainly better than changing. A couple of other A's to consider, but neither of them scores anything like this positioning. Not great. I'm grateful for having the V. It's my only scoring tile. I don't think there are any bingos with this rack by itself or with a floater. Although just looking at the A, that looks like it might go quite nicely with this rack, but Valacid has just the 1L. The S, quite a dangerous floater in phrases. But probably the biggest danger is row O at the moment. And if my opponent doesn't go there, I've got travel. No, I don't have an A for travel. But I am expecting my opponent to take that out. If he doesn't, I'm sure I will have some options. I have valet in column 6 for not very much. Nothing goes in front of the V, so column 1 isn't dangerous. No 2-letter plays with the V, which inhibits abilities for parallel plays. It means that the V can't be one of the plays which overlaps another word. Opponent taking a while, so maybe he won't play in row O. Maybe he's got a bingo to play elsewhere. There are quite a few nice floaters on this board. So perhaps I should turn my attention to row O and think about if I do have a play. I may not have a play. I certainly want to play off a V in one of the L's. And I'm not sure I can do that. I don't think... Well, what about Drevel? Is that just the name of a product? I think it is. Let me check it. No, it's not good. So the R looks like it went quite well with this rank because DR and TR both work as beginnings of words, but I don't actually have a word. I don't really like valet. It doesn't score very much. It places a vowel next to a double word square, double letter square, and it opens up row O. I could just play love, L-U-V in row N, which would completely kill row O. but at the price of a very low score. Ours takes a P in front for future reference. Now, opponent taking a really long time with this play. Be interesting to see what his rack is. I myself have just arrived back from the Far East. I've been in Malaysia and Thailand for 3 Scrabble tournaments, and one of those was the Seniors World Championship in Kuala Lumpur, where I came second and won this trophy. And in Bangkok, the big tournament, the Brands Cup, I was doing well until the final day and slipped down to 19th place, but I was second place amongst the seniors, and there were special prizes for those, and this is the rather nice trophy I won for coming second in that category. Absolutely amazing tournaments, both of them, and in the middle of those 2 tournaments was the Malaysian Open, which was also great fun. So absolutely fantastic trip. Just arrived back on the overnight flight from Bangkok to London this morning, and I'm trying to stay awake to avoid jet lag. Now, opponent has gone in that spot in row O, so I don't need to agonise as to whether I do have a play. I don't have an extension of Prim. Valet is looking less dangerous because the S hook would have to begin the word, whereas if Prim hadn't been played, the S could have been in 2nd or 3rd position. So this is slightly less dangerous, and Val next to the double letter square, not massively dangerous. And the rack leave is good. I'm going with this. Now, I think I have Doolies. And if that's good, it plays in column 9, making As. And it also plays in row L, making Ed and So, but placing the S in column 15. So that's going to be a tricky choice if they both remain available, because Doolies in row L scores more, but puts that dangerous S there, and I'm now having to deal with that decision. 45 points for my opponent, a good score for him. He only trails by 6 points. So Doolies in row L, which gets doubled, or Doolies in column 9, which doesn't get doubled, and opens up quite a hot parallel section, or parallel play opportunity in column 8. Well, I'm inclined to go with score, because it's in this instance it's difficult to compare the values of the openings. In particular, Doolies in column 9 places an O next to this double letter square, and that's dangerous for a play in column 8. I think if that had been a consonant next to that square, I may have been inclined to consider column 9. So Doolies for 73, and I'm just pausing in case there are words other than the 2 I've considered, but I don't think there are. And I move back to an 80-point lead. And quite a nice rack. Quite a nice rack. I've been away for 2.5 weeks, and I have something like 12 or 13 buttons on audio equipment in front of me, which look like some of them have been altered, so I've tried to put them back to where I think they should be. But I'll only know when I've checked this recording afterwards, so apologies if the sound quality has dipped for this video. I will try and improve it if it has. Anyway, back to this rack. Do I have anything? This looks really close, but not too many floaters to consider, and the floaters that are available don't go really well with this rack. Just looking at the L and the E. Rain-wise, not good. No, I'm not seeing anything. So, priority to play off the W and the I. I could do that with Iwi in column 9, but the score's not very good, and it's placing the I next to this triple letter square. So I'd like to do better than that. Can't see anywhere else for Iwi. Now, I mentioned that Valet takes an S. I think it also takes an A and an E. So I don't know if that would have altered my play, but it's something I need to be aware of for the remainder of the game for as long as that stays available. I'm not sure I can make much use of it with the A because I can't play off the I and the W, and I think that is a priority. If I can play off the I and the W, then the remaining rack lever reigns is pretty strong, especially with floating E's available. Now, WAI is also good, so although that is burning off the A, which I'd rather keep, it may be better, it may get enough score over the iwi placement to justify doing. Now, opponent plays, look at this is good. He's given me a spot for iwi for 24. He's scored quite well, 38 points, so I can't deduce that he's definitely got an S. He may do, but I've got one as well, so I don't need to go out of my way to block that. And I think it's likely that he's just getting a good score with his K. And there are two other spots for bingos ending S. There's column 9 and column 14. So I'm going with this, iwi for 24. Great, I have got rations, which plays in 3 spots. So I'm definitely bingoing. Certainly the best spot is row O, rations and Niels. Now, does rations have an anagram? If it does, it's a very high probability. But it's not immediately coming to mind. So I have a trip. Wow, look at this. Rations stays available. Fantastic. Rations for 84. Not too bad. I've got a good lead, 120 points. However, the board is a very good board for 7-letter bingos in columns 7, 9 and 14, so that could easily shrink, especially with 2 blanks to come. But I was glad to see this rack because although it's not bingoing, it's the next best thing in that it contains a mixture of high-scoring tiles and vowels, which is a good thing when you're ahead because it means you're fairly confident of having a run of 30-point plays. So, for example, I can play FEH in column 9 or FEY in column 7. Having said that, I'm not sure there's a huge number of other spots, but it would be difficult for my opponent to take out both of them. And for fewer points, I've got column 14. Now, column 13 is a new bingo lane for bingos ending in S, created by iwi because of ski. So there are still three bingo lanes for 7-letter bingos ending in S. My F can't go next to the U, it's just the Y and the H which can. The B and the F can't. It would be nice to get rid of 3 of the high-scoring tiles on the basis that it's a good idea to carry forward no more than 1. I could do that with Rube FI through the U. And wow, that's a nice play because it takes out column 9 for an S bingo, and it also takes out column 13. And although it provides an E floater, it's only with the E in last place. Tempting. Especially as my opponent only scores 13. This is really going to choke the board up. The downside is the score, only 18 points compared to about 30. But I think this has considerable strategic merit. If my opponent does bingo in column 14, He's likely to be creating a scoring spot in column 15, which will score well and take out many of the floaters he's provided. So I quite like Rubify. I like the rack leave. I like turning over tiles when there's only 30 tiles left and 2 blanks unseen. I'm going with this. Well, I dodged the blanks, but this is another okay rack. I have a couple of high-scoring tiles, so I could play HUH and leave a decent rack leave. Wow, I was just looking down at the possibility of... Okay, nice play by my opponent, 77 points. And this is the scenario I was talking about, that I am likely to have a column 15 play, and I do. I have HEH, keeping ruin. Not a disaster since the Q is still out there and there's only one U to come. I'm only taking out the floating B and O, which aren't particularly dangerous, but the other aspect of the parallel play was the score, and look at that, 36 points. So that's going to put me a bingo in front. I can't see anywhere for HUH. And the other floaters in botting, TI and N, not massively useful. I'm going with this. Well, quite nice, again, for keeping the score going, in that I have the X. Although down the bottom of the board, because so many plays have been made down there, there's actually very few opportunities. The double letter square next to the E, not especially useful. Opponent burns the Q and the U for 28. Could have been a lot worse. And now I have a nice play. I have XI for 36 points. And what's really good about that is that it kills row F, which wasn't a great row anyway, but it was a row, a bingo row. It kills it. Nothing goes in front of QI. Only a P goes on top of ours, and both Ps have been played, although 2 blanks to come. So this is pretty killing to the board, and it's scoring well. And the rack leave is okay in terms of vowels and consonants. So I feel quite happy with this, especially having a 55-point lead going into the play. I still dodged the blanks. My opponent could have both, but he's going to really struggle to bingo with them. I guess column 7's available for bingos ending ER. But look at the remaining tiles, they're really not bingo-y at all, apart from the blanks. Only 5 vowels out of 16 tiles. But opponent manages to score well. 33 points, and he creates quite a hot lane in row A. And I'm only 60 points ahead, so I must be mindful that I don't score a small amount and have my opponent catch me without a bingo. So options are, try and find something in row A, ending in Y, which gets tripled. That would leave one in the bag if it started on the triple word square. Another possibility would be to play in row G, thinking that if you look at the remaining tiles, there probably aren't many bingos ending in Y. And were I to play in row A, I'd probably be creating, or would be creating, opportunities for a 7-letter bingo. And there are going to be far more 7-letter bingos than 8-letter bingos ending in Y. So an alternative to playing in row A and creating those 7-letter lanes would be to play in row G, scoring off the X and the Q. So I could do that with tuner. Just wondering if I could have a play which burns the R. That would need to begin R-U-N-A. Well, there isn't going to be a play like that. So this is 26 points, and it leaves 2 in the bag. 11 minutes on my clock. Do I have a play in row A to compare? It would only score 30 points, but leaving 1 in the bag would be good. But I think in the round, this is a better play. Tuner for 26. Great. I do draw a blank, and that's a pretty good rack. I could have a bingo ending in Y. But do I? And column 7 still available for bingos ending ER. So do I have drearier? Yes, I do. Fantastic. And if opponent takes that out, he's likely to be creating floaters, and this is quite a floater-friendly rack. I note that Tuna has taken out the P front hook for hours, which was a slim possibility, but it was a possibility, and the remaining tiles looking pretty bad. Opponent empties the bag, which is fantastic, because I'll get a big score on countback. So drearier for 61. Opponent's not created any new bingo lanes, and I don't think, well, the thing which would score more than this would be a play in row A ending in Y. So do I have such a play? I've got 11 minutes on my clock. I'm certainly not going to use all of that since the game is won. Bradery? I don't think so. I've got a feeling there may be one here, so I am going to go through the alphabet. It is what I would do in a real tournament. In fact, I would probably use a fair bit of the 10 minutes. But I just don't think that makes for a great video experience. So I've got drearily. Fantastic. So drearily for 83, a better score. The only thing which would be better would be to have something else other than the L on that double letter square, but that's pretty unlikely. And it would only be a marginal improvement in score. So this is the point at which in a tournament I probably would carry on with the rest of the alphabet, but I'm not going to in this instance. So drearily for 83. And the final score, 344 to my opponent, 520 to me, a winning margin of 176 points. So a huge win. Let's see what I missed. I was quite tentative coming into this game, given the jet lag and generally feeling pretty crap. But oh, it's so good to get over 500 and not have a howler. So opponents go first. Ugali, he plays hour. I have phrases. It has no anagram. K4. Yep, that's where I played it. Opponent's rack. No bingo. Plays cage. This was a bit of a horror show, but Vacatur gets me out of jail for 28 points. I do not like or do not prefer cravat. UV compared to V, worth a lot more than 6 points. How much more? I would guess 7 or 8. Yeah, UV versus V. Not sure. Anyway, Vacatur I'm pretty happy with. Opponent's rack plays prim. So this is when he took a while. Yeah, and I can see why. Although the score's nice, the rack leave is not great. It would be nice to have a better rack leave than that. Now, this was a rack I struggled with, and I went with Valet in the end for 18, which is an okay score in rack leave. And by okay score, I mean look at the other scores available. You can just tell from this rack that there's not going to be much more available, which is why I was happy with the score, and the rack leave's good. Velt's F10. Where's that? Oh, well, that's quite nice. That is quite nice because it's taking out this useful floater and taking out a bingo lane and providing nothing. So I think I prefer Velt's. Opponent's rack. He's got Tiz. So I'm only 6 points ahead at this stage, but I have this bingo, which is great, because if there wasn't a bingo with this rack, I would struggle to score. No scoring tiles. Opponent's rack. No bingo. Plays Neil. So, did he have an S? No, he didn't. My rack. And what do I do here? I don't recognise any of these. I play EW for 24. Yeah, an ANRS is a nice rack leave. AIRS is also a nice rack leave. M11. Yeah, probably not much between those. Opponent's rack plays home. And that's great for me. And rations does indeed have an anagram, aroints. Fortunately, I didn't need to find that. Opponent's rack. Wow, no bingo there, and that looks pretty bingo-y. I think he was unfortunate not to have any floating consonants. So he plays ale. My rack. Now this is where I do Rubify. For strategic reasons, I could have scored more playing vertically in columns 7 and 9, but I liked the way this sorted my rack out. So it was rack leave, but it was also taking out bingo lanes. It took out 3 bingo lanes. And the floaters in Rubify, the floating A. So I still like that. Whoops. Opponent's rack, he has botting. That was a good spot. My rack, I didn't really like HEH. I played it quite quickly, but it does have some merit, and there doesn't seem to be anything better. Opponent's rack, he plays quote. And that's great, because I've got XI. F8. So I've also got Orcs in, but I prefer XI because Orcs in creates a bingo lane and XI doesn't. Opponent now struggling with vowels, and there were a limited number of vowels. He plays Yod, and there was a bingo, in, not a bingo, there was a play ending in Y, Ratany, for 30, but I still prefer Tuna. And aren't also available, but that's using the same tile, so there's no difference between those. Opponent has a blank, no bingo, plays Jag, which is great because I can slap down drearily for 83 points and leap over the finishing line with more than 500 points and nearly 200 points of spread. So absolutely massive win and good fun. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time. So, U versus UV. This is cross tables. The dictionary is CSW. It was a V by itself, minus 6.5. UV, minus 11.7, so it's detrimental to the tune of about 5. So about a 5-point difference, and I think in the moves under consideration, the gap was 6 points. So on the basis just to score and rack leave, probably not much between them. And if there's not much between them, I would choose the better rack leave. And certainly I would feel happier with a rack leave of just a V than a rack leave of VU. So always useful to come to cross tables to check on rack leave values. I think this is the only site which is available to enable you to do this, and it's a good way of testing whether your judgment is in the right sort of ballpark. So there you go.